Good afternoon. My name is Corinne Geller. I'm the Public Relations Director for the Virginia State Police. With me today is Sergeant Thomas Molnar, Lieutenant Dave Cooper, and Captain Keith Kazee of our Appomattox Field Division. I'd like to provide you with an update into the tragic circumstances surrounding the stabbing of Virginia State Senator Creigh Deeds and the death of his son at their Bath County residence that occurred early this morning. As you can imagine, the investigation is still ongoing. At 7:25 Tuesday, Virginia State Police troopers and Bath County Sheriff's deputies responded to a 911 call at a residence at 26 Vineyard Drive in the community of Millboro, which is in Bath County. During the course of the investigation, which remains ongoing, State Police has determined that Senator Deeds and his son, Austin C. Deeds, who also went by Gus, 24 years of age, had an altercation at the Deeds residence. Deeds was stabbed multiple times about the head and upper torso. Deeds was able to leave the scene on foot, and as he was coming down the hill of his residence towards Route 42, he encountered a cousin who lives nearby. The cousin was driving along the highway there, stopped, picked up Senator Deeds, and drove him to his residence, where rescue responded to that residence and attended to the senator. Senator Deeds was then transported by ambulance to a nearby relative's farm, where Carillion Lifeguard 12, which is out of Rockbridge County, was able to land and then transport the injured senator to the University of Virginia Medical Center in Charlottesville for treatment. The senator is still at the hospital at this time. I just received an update about 40 minutes ago, and he is listed in fair condition. His son, Gus Deeds, was found inside the residence, suffering from life-threatening injuries associated with a gunshot wound. And despite the troopers and first responders' efforts, he did die at the scene. His remains were transported later today to the office of the medical examiner in Roanoke for autopsy and examination. The investigation is still ongoing. We still have investigators at the scene, the residents there in Bath County. They will remain there for a couple more hours as they continue to push forward with this investigation. Obviously, the motive and the absolute circumstances surrounding what led up to the altercation is still very much the focus of this investigation, and we'll continue with the assistance of the Bath County Sheriff's Office. I'd also like to mention the Deeds family has asked us to pass along their request to honor their privacy during this difficult time. They do not want to be contacted by any media. As you can imagine, they're having to deal with they've got a lot to deal with right now, and we ask that you do abide by the family's request. At this time, I will take some questions.
Julian, can you tell us whether or not you said there was an altercation? You've not said at this point, one, whether the gunshot wound was self-inflicted, and two, specifically, if Gus stabbed Senator Deeds. Be specific on those points. Does altercation mean those two things?
As I said, we're still piecing together the exact... At this time, we're still piecing together the exact circumstances that led up to the altercation and then followed afterwards. But based on the evidence we have right now, we are looking into this as an attempted murder and suicide. Now, this is not an absolute determination because it's still very much an ongoing investigation, but we are looking at that at this point.
Can you tell us about the mental evaluation that he had on Monday, Gus? The mental evaluation that he had on Monday.
Well, Andy, as you probably know, state law actually prohibits any kind of confirmation or denial of a TDO or any kind of mental health issues in Virginia, so we can neither confirm nor deny at this time.
What kind of weapon was used to stab Senator Deeds?
No, a weapon has been recovered at the scene, but we're not releasing what type at this point.
Corinne, has the police ever been to this residence before for any kind of...
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to touch base with the sheriff, who probably would have received the 911 calls. If you dial 911, it goes directly to the sheriff's office, who did receive the initial 911 call about this incident, and then they requested our response to the scene. So I don't know if they've been called to that residence before or not.
The small detail, when you say torso, do you mean chest?
Yes, the upper torso. I can't get any more specifics about the injuries due to HIPAA.
Was he shot before or after the senator left his office?
We're not commenting on that exact sequence because, again, we're still just a matter of hours into this, and we're still piecing together the exact sequence of events, and we'll hopefully have more information later on as we're able to piece together that evidence.
Can you now say who made the 911 call?
Mr. Deeds earlier was communicating with investigators. Any indication as to what he said? Has he been communicating all throughout the day, more or less?
I know this morning he was able to talk with our investigators. He was able to, provide some statements and so forth. But anything else, I just don't know. So.
Can you tell us now who did make the 911 call?
Actually, I've been trying to piece that together and get in touch. As you can imagine, our investigators are busy at this point, so I haven't been able to contact them and so forth. But they're looking into it. They have that information, but I just don't have it right now to release. So.
Was there anyone else was in the house?
No, there was no one else in the residence at the time of the altercation. It was,
For any other suspects?
no.
Dennis Cropper, who heads up the Rock Ridge County Community Services Board, has already said that Gus was taken there yesterday for a mental evaluation at ECO, an emergency order, and was released after 4 hours. Apparently there were no psychiatric beds. He's on the record saying that. Can you confirm that?
No, state law actually prohibits us from acknowledging any kind of emergency detention order or temporary detention order. It prohibits us. It's considered confidential, and therefore we can neither confirm nor deny.
Is he in violation of law by having stated that publicly to a newspaper?
I have no idea. That's.
Corinne, was it sheer luck that you described the driveway and finding his cousin? Was it sheer luck that you found him?
Honestly, I don't know if it was or not. From what I understand, I've talked to our first sergeant and folks at the scene. The residence is roughly 75 yards, by the way the crow flies, so to speak, from Route 42. You can't really see the residence from the roadway, so it is, and again, it's a hill. He came down a hill, and that's where he was spotted by the cousin who lives in a nearby farm.
What was the name of the cousin?
I don't know. I don't have that information. We wouldn't release that anyway. So.
Is there anything that leads you to believe that this was, you say you're looking at it as a possible attempted murder?
Yes.
Is there anything that leads you to believe this was planned, or that this attempted murder sort of came out of that altercation right there at the moment?
Those are the very same questions that our investigators are looking into and trying to piece together based on the evidence they're collecting today at the scene.
Corinne, who's understand why you're not releasing what he was stabbed with? What's the purpose of not saying what that weapon was?
I just forgot to ask the investigators for the most part. We've had a lot of information I've been trying to piece together today to provide you with the latest information, and really the concentration is piecing together what happened here. So I just actually don't have that information. So.
Do you know, is Senator Deeds aware of what happened to his son?
I don't know. I haven't been to the hospital. I don't know what kind of conversations that have taken place between him and his family or our investigators and so forth. I've not been privy to those conversations.
Have there been any previous incidents similar to this or calls for police services at the home?
I think I answered that a few minutes ago. I don't know. That's something that you may have to contact the sheriff's office about. I don't know.
Corinne, who lives at 26 Vineyard Drive?
That's Senator Creigh Deeds' residence, and he lived there with his current wife, and his son Gus.
So is it fair for us to assume that he went out to the road, the cousin came along, they went together back to his house?
No, they went to the cousin's house. Yes, they went back to the cousin's house, and that's where rescue responded. Okay.
Corinne, you said only the son, now deceased, and his current wife resided there. Although no one other than he and the son were there. The
Right.
only residents.
Correct. Yes,
are
Senator Deeds, his current wife, and their son Gus resided at that residence at 26 Vineyard Drive in Millboro. But at the time of the altercation, only Senator Deeds and his son were at the residence.
So at this point, have criminal charges been ruled out, or is that still part of the investigation?
It's still an ongoing investigation. We're looking into this and kind of leaning towards it being an attempted murder-suicide. But at this time, it's not concrete. As we still have a lot of questions, and we're waiting for a lot of evidence to come back from the lab, and of course, we're still awaiting autopsy and examination from the medical examiner's office.
Can you identify the firearm used in the incident and whether or not it belonged to Senator Deeds?
We have recovered a firearm, but we're not releasing the caliber or make or model of the weapon at this time.
Or whether it belonged to Senator Deeds, or...
No, we're not commenting on that either.
Are you looking into self-defense at all?
We're looking into a lot of different possibilities. I'm really not going to get any more specifics about motive or the circumstances surrounding. I'm just going to take a couple more questions.
How old was Gus?
Oh, 24. I'm sorry, 24 years old, and Senator Deeds is 55.
The timeline, have you mentioned exactly when you believe the gunfire happened in relation to when the stabbing took place?
That's all still being determined as well. Basically, there's a lot of forensic evidence that has to be collected from the scene, ballistics evidence that has to be analyzed and tested through the state lab. So there's still a lot of work to be done to make exactly timeline of when and how things actually occurred.
You can't say definitively whether or not Senator Deeds was in the home when the gunshot.
We're not getting into that specific of detail at this time. I'll take one more question. No, we're not releasing that at this point either. So. We're not commenting exactly where the altercation took place. We're just saying it happened at the residence. Okay.
His son was shot in the head.
A weapon has been recovered. A firearm has been recovered.
His son was shot in the head.
We're not commenting where the gunshot wound
And I
occurred.
know you can't confirm about what the medical board had said about him being treated
Correct.
yesterday, but if we take what the medical board is saying as fact, I mean, would you look at that as a tragedy if that is indeed the case, that no beds were available to perhaps give him some treatment?
We're not going to comment on that. So, all right, guys. If we have any, oh, go ahead, Larry.
Implement also recovered?
I'm sorry.
Was the stabbing implement also recovered, or just the gun?
I don't know. I'll have to check into that for you.
Did you say
So.
one shot to the son?
Yes. Yes. So, thank you, guys. If we have any more updates, we'll provide. I don't know if we're going to have another press briefing per se. At this point, it's a lot of analysis has to take place. They've spent most of the day collecting evidence. Obviously, it kind of moves to the next phase. The agents will be finishing up at the scene out there. So I don't know if we're going to actually do another press briefing today, but I'll be probably updating you by email. I've got pretty much everybody's email, I'm pretty sure. So thank you, guys. We appreciate it.